Hey everybody, welcome back to the Royal Read. I am so glad you decided to stop by and see what I'm reading on. But before we get started, you already know I ask you to do it every time. Yeah, go right down here in these settings, find that subscribe button, go ahead on and subscribe. And while you're in there, hit your notification bell too, so you know when I upload or when I just want to pop in. And give me a thumbs up to fight my nemesis, that beast, that algorithm. Woo, it drags me out. It drags me. And right about here, that's our join button. That's for channel memberships. And if you choose to become a channel member and a part of the reading club, you will be supporting my channel to grow, to improve, and to continue. And I will be so grateful, so thankful, so appreciative for your support. Also, if you want to do a one time donation, our super thanks button is right over there. And all donations to the channel is always greatly appreciated. Also, we have an announcement, y'all. We have an announcement. We have a new channel member, and it's Michelle. Michelle, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for deciding to support my channel. Thank you for seeing something in my channel and saying that, oh, you know what? I think she got something there. I'm going to support her. That means everything to me, and I am over the moon that you decided to support my channel and be a part of the reading club. And now that you are a part of the reading club, you can go over to the community page and your official welcome to the reading club will be posted over there. And everybody, when you get an opportunity, go over to the community page and welcome Michelle to our reading club because I am over the moon. I am thrilled. I am just cannot hardly contain myself with happiness about her becoming a part of the reading club. All right, with all that said, let's get to the read, y'all. And of course, we got a lot. And you know, when I am putting the read together, y'all know what I do. I jump in these internet streets, and that's exactly where I was most of the day in these internet streets trying to figure out what are the squatties talking about? What is the topic of the day? I was over to Blue Sky and they're talking about pretty much everything, really. I mean, it's no particular topic or anything like that. They're still kind of talking about how that Richard Eden article that I covered in my last podcast about Charles and them pretty much begging Harry to come home. Yeah, and the squatties are just saying, are you serious? Are you really, really serious with that nonsense? And they also talking about else are they talking about? They're dragging one of these internet trolls. I don't know if y'all know her. Her name is Megan's Mole, and I don't know what she has said or what has went down, but it is a lot of dragging going on. Blue Sky and X, formerly known as Twitter, they are dragging her on those on both of those websites. I don't know what she did. I didn't get in. I'm nosy, but I did not jump in that one. I don't know what's going on, but they dragging her. And like I said, it's pretty much all over the place. A lot of just chatter. I went over to TikTok. They're still talking about the boycott of Walmart. They're not talking much about Harry and Meghan. They are talking about that and how pretty much nobody showed up over there at Walmart. I know I didn't. I did not. And so they're talking about that. But like I said, I finally landed on, my home away from home, and that would be X, formerly known as Twitter. And over there, of course, they are like on Blue Sky, like on Instagram. They dragging Megan the Mole. I don't know what Megan the Mole said. She must have said something at the side of her neck, but whatever was said, the squatties did not like it. And I'm telling you, they dragging her for filth. But I did not get involved. Y'all know I'm nosy, but I didn't get involved in that one. I did. But they're also talking about on X, the big talk is this documentary that this German TV station is supposed to be doing about Harry and Meghan. Now, did I miss something? What business is it of a German TV station to be talking about or doing a documentary on a British prince and an American black woman? I am just curious about that. And I found an article. I found it in Vanity Fair. And like sometimes I give Vanity Fair the side eye because sometimes Vanity Fair comes with the info and then sometimes it comes with the nonsense. Because while I was looking for this particular article, I saw another one that Vanity Fair had written about how Harry and Meghan wasn't invited to Christmas. I said to myself, now, Vanity Fair, are we really going to do that? This is a yearly story. Are they still going to do it after 5 years of Harry and Meghan not showing up across the pond for Christmas? Are we really going to continue this tradition? And I guess Vanity Fair said, I'm going to continue with this nonsense. And they're not the only one. I saw one in the Mirror, and it's another place I saw. I mean, just nonsense. So, yeah, sometimes I give Vanity Fair the side eye, but they did have this story, and I'm going to put it up here. Of course, like I said, I found it in Vanity Fair, and the name of the article is A German Documentary About Meghan and Harry is coming out next week. And the first thing that popped in my head when I heard that title, when I read that title, was why? Why is a German documentary about Meghan and Harry coming out next week? Why? What interest is it that a German TV station would have to go to Montecito to try to impose themselves in the lives of a couple, private citizens, to make a documentary about somebody that has nothing to do with their country? So, why is really the big question I have for this whole thing. I'm just saying. And it says the director, Ulrich Grunswald, and I hope I'm pronouncing her name incorrectly. I said it with my whole chest and with all the disrespect. The director, Ulrich Grunswald, said working on the documentary made her understand the late Queen's mantra that you can't be half in and half out. Well, all I can say to that, Ulrich Grunswald, is that Harry and Meghan wasn't asking the Queen or Charles or William for anything that hadn't been done before them. They wasn't asking for this family to reinvent the wheel. It is plenty of royals, and I mean title royals, that work and make their own living and also do events and work for the crown. So Harry and Meghan was being treated differently. They was not being treated the same. And if you were any kind of director, you would absolutely express that fact. But all the way through this article, and I read it, none of that. It's just nonsense all the way through. I'm just saying. And it goes on to say, on December the 3rd, the German network ZDF will air a new documentary about Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, which aims to give audience a closer look at the couple's life in Montecito. And I still say, why? Why would the German people be interested in a English prince, a British prince, and his American wife? Why would they be interested in that? What is it? I'm saying why? Why? But I go on. It says an exclusive enclave in Santa Barbara. The filmmaker visited the town and interviewed at least one of the Duke and Duchess neighbors. I kid you not. that this director interviewed at least one, and what is less than one is zero. What in the world? And we all know, and what I have heard on the curb, that the one neighbor that they're talking about is he used to be a royal rodent. He used to be part of the royal rotor, and he now lives in Montecito, which I find very, very suspicious. And this is why. Harry and Meghan has been living in Montecito close to 5 years now. I say maybe 4.5 years. And up until this year, we did not know this man even existed or lived in Montecito. And I am believing that this is a plant by all those rags over there across the pond to try to stalk Harry and Meghan in Montecito. And do you not know he has a position on the Montecito newspaper? And he had wrote something out of the side of his neck, and those rags over there had picked it up, and it was a big mess about that. And I am surprised that he still has a job, and he might not be still working at that Montecito newspaper, because it didn't go down very well, I'm just saying, with the people of Montecito, using their paper to be vindictive against one of their neighbors. They didn't like that. So I don't know if he still has that position or not, but I really, really feel like he is a plant. And this is the one neighbor they interviewed. And also, I'm going to put up a picture of Harry and Meghan's house. Do you see how much land is around Harry and Meghan's house? They are land rich, and they can hike and bike and do all kinds of things and still be on their own property. Neighbors are not side by side in Montecito. Neighbors are miles and miles away from each other because all of the people are land rich over there. It's ridiculous. And then you're going to call this person a neighbor, and it's my understanding that he doesn't even live anywhere close to Harry and Meghan. But I digress. Let's go ahead on. But I just wanted to clarify, when they say at least one neighbor, what neighbor they're talking about. And it says a documentary, Prince Harry, the Lost Prince. Why is Harry lost? Why is he lost? Why are you naming this Harry the Lost Prince? I am picking over everything that they doing because it don't even make no sense. Prince Harry the Lost Prince. Where he lost from? This is stupid. And it says, we'll look at the couple's search for relevance following their exit from their royal roles in early 2020. I have a problem with that. How is Harry and Meghan searching for relevance? And you have gotten your y'all. I'm gonna try not to curse on these YouTubes because we all know how that is. But you done got on your little happy ASS on a plane and flew over 5,000 miles to talk to somebody, just anybody, about Harry and Meghan, but yet and still somehow they're not relevant. You're from a whole different country making a documentary about a prince that has nothing to do with anybody from where you are from. And you're saying that they're searching for relevance? I think they have relevance because here you are from Germany flying all the way to Montecito to bite off of some of their shine. And that's all this is. Everybody want to bite off of Harry and Meghan shine, always clout chasing, trying to be relevant by associating themselves with Harry and Meghan. And this is all this is about. Because who in the world is ZDF? Never heard of it, never want to hear of it. But here it is trying to bite off Harry and Meghan, because they see what global superstars this couple is. They are the most famous royal couple in the world, bar none. And here they are flying from Germany to Montecito, California, and trying to get us to believe, trying to gaslight us into believing that somehow Harry and Meghan is searching for relevance. It's somebody searching for relevance, but it's not Harry and Meghan. It's you, boo boo, because I did not see Harry and Meghan get on a plane go searching for you, but you definitely got on a plane searching for them. I digress. And it says their sequential move to the United States, even in his self imposed exile. I have a problem with that. Harry is fifth in line to the throne. He is not the king and he is not the heir. Those are the people, if they left, it would affect the line of succession. But Harry is fifth in line. How can Harry leaving be an exile? Now, Harry is not the heir, he is not the king. How is he in exile? That's what I want her to explain to me. Harry leaving has not affected the line of succession. That's when you go into exile, when you are the heir and you are the king. But you are the fifth in line and you are considered in exile. That is crazy to me. I'm just saying. It says, even in his self imposed exile in Montecito, California, he remains a public figure. His commitment to charitable organizations such as Invictus Games for War Veterans, which he founded, keeps putting him in the spotlight. Harry is the spotlight. Wherever he go, the eyeballs go. He just got it that way. And Harry, let me put it to you this way. Invictus don't bring the shine to Harry. Harry brings the shine to Invictus. Don't get it twisted. Harry's involvement in Invictus is what made it the global powerhouse that it is today. Harry shine. And she trying to say that him being the founder of Invictus brings him to global spotlight. No, Harry brings that. Harry is who brings that, and Meghan brings hers too. And that is why you all the way in Montecito biting off of their shine. I'm just saying. It says, but the second born of King Charles, who was at times the most popular royal of the Windsors, is now a controversial figure. How is Harry a controversial figure? I want to know, how is Harry a controversial figure? What has Harry ever did that was controversial? I have never saw Harry make a political stand. I have never saw Harry speak out against anybody. All Harry has done is do his charity work. What of his charity work and his initiatives are controversial? He wants clean air. He doesn't say that you can't ride a plane, but he says in Travelers, here is a way that you can do it that's best for the earth. He has always offered choices about the environment. Now, over there in Earthflop, he preached about a whole lot of stuff, including saying Africa is the reason for the world's overpopulation. Y'all remember that? He opened his mouth and said that. But Harry has never said anything controversial like that. But yet and still you want to label him controversial. Get out of here. Get out of here with that nonsense. I'm just saying. But I go on. It says the network said in a press release, paparazzi and the tabloid press are thorns in his side. A representative from ZDF did not immediately respond to Vanity Fair's request for a comment. Here, Vanity Fair running over here. That is the reason why they made this. So people will absolutely show them some attention because everybody know if they bite off of Harry and Meghan, it is going to get them a few clicks and a few views. So that's what they do. And this is what ZDF has done. And it's ridiculous. I go on. It says in an interview with the Daily Express, director Ulrich Grunwald said that working on the documentary helped her to understand why the royals were so concerned when Meghan and Harry left the royal roles. They wanted Harry and Meghan to leave their royal roles. If you was any kind of investigative journalist, you would know that. William bullied them out. He wanted them out. Charles wanted them out because of their popularity. That's why. And I really think, well, I'm going to put it this way. This is what I really think. I think William wanted them out. Charles wanted them in, but he wanted to be able to control them. And so him and William had different goals, but they wanted to go about what they wanted the same way. And that was to get them out and get Harry to come back without Meghan, because that's what William wanted. He never wanted Harry to have Meghan. He wanted Harry and to come back. Charles wanted Harry to come back like a scalded dog with his tail between his legs, divorced, broke, and broken emotionally. So they could just use his shine as they chose to. But this is not a serious documentary. This is not a serious person. This is not a investigative journalist. We can tell by this article. And it said the most damaging allegations can only come from within. Revelations that shocked the royal family only came out of Prince Harry or Meghan Markle's mouth, she said. All I can say is when you treat someone good, they speak good of you. When you treat someone bad, they speak bad of you. It's called the truth. So if all of these allegations, as she put it, came out and they were negative towards the royal family, it's because they didn't treat Harry and Meghan very good. So how about investigating that? But this is nonsense. I'm getting hyped just going through it. It says, I begin to understand the late Queen's verdict that you can't be half in or half out. It says Griswold added that so far, Meghan and Harry are still trying to make their legacy for themselves. But in everyone still trying to make their legacy for themselves, you make your legacy until you die. What is she talking about? And all I can say is they got a really great start on a legacy because they have Archewell. And let's see what's all under the umbrella of Archewell, especially Harry. Harry has accolade after accolade after accolade. What is she talking about? What else does he have to do to have a legacy? I think he has a legacy already, and so do Meghan. And Meghan is going to have a great one because at the end of the day, Meghan has been a successful actress. She has been a successful entrepreneur, and she is going to be a billionaire when American Riviera Orchard hits the ground running. So, miss me, Griswold. That's all I'm saying. And it says, at the moment, it's hard to see any big achievements of their Archewell Foundation. Do she ever go on the Sussex.com? Does she ever go on there? That's really, what does she want them to do? Alleviate world hunger or something? Is that what she's talking about? No big achievements? What does she want them to do? Find a cure for AIDS and typhoid fever? What does she want them to do? It is just ridiculous how high they always put the bar for Harry and Meghan, and how they dig a hole in the ground to put the bar in for William and Kate. It's ridiculous to me. But let's go on. It says, at the moment, it's hard to see any big achievements of their Archwell Foundation, which claims to work for the improvement of communities, she said, but there are still voices who see the high potential of the couple, not only for the British monarchy, but also for the liberal society. What kind of nonsense is that? They see high potential for the British monarchy when it comes to Harry and Meghan, and they are not a part of the British monarchy. I remember when Harry and Meghan first left from over there, the sunken place, they were on panel after panel after panel, and anybody who would listen to one of the sources, the palace sources over there, and it was so many, saying that Harry and Meghan wasn't even considered royal anymore. They wasn't a part of the royal family anymore. They definitely was not part of the firm or the monarchy anymore. So what is she talking about? That they have a, what did she say? But there is still voices that see a high potential of the couple, not only for the British monarchy. Are you crazy? They're not a part of it. But also the liberal society. I can't. It says in April, Montecito resident and raw. This is what I was telling y'all about this former Raw rodent. It says in April, Montecito resident and former British newspaper journalist Richard Menard, and y'all remember I said that he sat for an interview with Griswold and her producers during the trip to Southern California. This is who the one neighbor that they interviewed. None of the other so called neighbors or anybody in Montecito would talk to her. They went and got this person who has moved to Montecito, I believe, in order to stalk Harry and Meghan. He is a British newspaper journalist, former. I think he is still being bankrolled by them. And this is the same man I was talking about earlier, Richard Menard. And it said and sit for an interview with Griswold and her producers during a trip to Southern California. Los Angeles based producer Melanie Hillman grilled me for 2 hours on my Riven Rock neighbors, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, under director Ulrich Griswold. He wrote in the Montecito Journal. That is what I was saying. He works for the Montecito Journal, and he got caught, talking out of the side of his neck with some nonsense. It says the interview is airing in due course as part of a primetime documentary on ZDF Raw. And that's pretty much all of the article. They didn't tell us anything except that. And the one neighbor that they interviewed was this former Rotorat, Richard Menard. And I'm going to find a picture of him and put him right here. Yes. And so we all know how this whole thing is going to go. It is all seems like an orchestrated hit, because look at the Daily Express getting involved in it, interviewing her. And then they're using a former royal rodent, a royal flying monkey, to interview as a so-called neighbor, like I said, who I believe that they have strategically placed him in Montecito to stalk Harry and Meghan. I'm just saying. All right, y'all, we're going to move on and I'm going to put this article up, and it's called Royal Control, and it is by a British squatty. Now, I see a lot of her or his posts. I don't know if it's a male or female, but I see a lot of this particular squatty's posts on X, formerly known as Twitter, and now on Blue Sky. And I have featured a lot of their articles in my podcast because I tend to agree with just about everything that this particular squatty writes, because the way they write and what they say is so insightful and so brilliant. And so this particular article is no exception. It is exactly how I feel about these people and what they actually did to Harry and Meghan to try to bring them to heel, to control. And that's basically all it was about. And when they found out that they wasn't going to be able to control Meghan, they decided they wanted to get rid of her. They never really wanted her, actually. But then when she got in the family, then they decided that they wanted to control her. That is what that whole finger in her face by William was all about. To tell her, you are going to do what I tell you to do. And when she told him to get his finger out of her face, he knew then he was dealing with a whole different woman, because Kitty Cat has never told him to get his finger out of her face. And we have saw it on full display with him with his finger in her face. I'm just saying. So this article pretty much just kind of just brings all that together, and I love it. So let's get into it. And it said, and like I said, I'm going to put it up, and it's called Royal Control. And it says how Charles, William, and the rest of the Windsors abused their power to silence Harry and Meghan. Where is the lie? They absolutely wanted Harry and Meghan not to be believed, not to do anything. All they wanted Harry and Meghan to do is sit there and be relentlessly abused and to stay mute. But Harry and Meghan didn't do that. And I love that. Harry and Meghan decided to put their story out. And now their story has become the history of what happened. Now, even the Flying Monkeys is using Spare as a reference because they know Harry told the truth in that book. But I digress. Let's go on. It says the British royal family's attempt to bring Harry and Meghan back under their control have shown a shocking abuse of power that should not be overlooked. For too long, we have been taught to believe that the monarchy operates with dignity, duty, and discretion. Well, I'll tell you what has been on full display this year. It has exposed that the monarchy does not act with dignity, it does not act with duty, and it does not act with discretion. Because do we all remember that monstrosity of a picture that came out of Kensington Palace on Mother's Day, and the lie that came with it saying that William had took that picture a few days earlier? And it came out that no, that was a Frankenstein picture, and they put a kill notice on it. It exposed them. It exposed them for the world to see, and Kensington Palace was absolutely shown to be just as reliable as Russia, Iran, and North Korea. And I was just saying, I love that. And one thing, too, we have shown they have no dignity. Look how William cried that cup of salty tears, took him over there to Tom Sykes, and said he wanted everybody to F off, including Harry and Meghan. Y'all remember that? That was when they did that shampoo commercial, and that's when they thought that shampoo commercial was really going to change the game. I'm gonna put that article by Tom Sykes right here. And it says Kate Middleton's cancer recovery video is the reset to end all reset sources. We all know who the sources is, and it said one friend of William, who is William, and Kate told the Daily Beast this is Kate and William as they meant to go on. It's family first and F the haters, F the press, and F Harry. Y'all remember that? F Harry and Meghan. This is the dignity that they're bringing. You need to stop. They need to stop. But yes, that's how much dignity the future king has. And we all know how much dignity the present king has because he has his concubine as his queen. So I'm just saying. So I don't know if people actually believe this. Now, it was true when Elizabeth II was the queen, but ever since they lowered Queen Elizabeth down in that vault, it has been no dignity, no duty, and no discretion at the top of that food chain, which is called the monarchy. I'm just saying. It says, but in their relentless effort to isolate and silence the Sussexes, the institution has revealed a darker side. We all knew that that darker side was there. Ask all these colonized people who the British Empire has colonized and brutalized. We always knew that it was a darker side to this monarchy. They, like I said, this is the best rebranding that anybody has ever done. Ask the Aboriginal people of Australia about the British royal family and the British Empire. I'm just saying. It says a side that seeks control at any cost. That's who they always have been, even if it means undermining the very values it claims to uphold. It claims to uphold values, but it never has had any. I'm just saying. This raises an uncomfortable question. Are these the kind of leaders we need in a modern Britain? Well, that is something the British people have to answer since I am American and I cannot answer that for them. It says from the moment Harry and Meghan decided to step back from service to the Windsors, the firm has been on a mission to bring them back into line. Where is the lie? They have been on a mission to destroy them, but they have failed. Harry and Meghan have won. This last podcast where I featured that Richard Eden article where those palace sources was talking to him and telling them that they wanted Harry back, that was the white flag of surrender. Harry and Meghan have won. The Sussex squad has won. But they tried it. I'm telling you, they threw everything at Harry and Meghan. Not for the kind of people Harry and Meghan are, and the Sussex squad, and Harry and Meghan supporters, and people of goodwill, binding together to save this couple. That's the only thing that helped them to win, help us to win, because I consider it as a win for the Sussex squad. But let's go on. It says, with the moment Harry and Meghan decided to step back from service to the Windsors, the firm has been on a mission to bring them back into line. What started as a subtle disapproval quickly escalated into a public campaign of control. The couple was stripped of their royal patronages and titles. Attempt to smear Meghan, and we all know they came for Meghan the hardest. They came for Harry, but not like they came for Meghan. They really came to destroy her. They hated everything about her excellence. Attempt to smear Meghan through press leaks negative briefings, and outright lies. Where where is the lie? That's all they did was lie. I mean, just a whole kinds of matter of lies that they told. Like she made a cake cry. That lie, that vicious, vicious lie, is pretty much what Megan said started in her character assassination campaign. Harry, too, was vilified for wanting to prioritize his mental health and protect his family instead of offering support. The Windsors seemed intent on punishing them for daring to seek a life outside of its iron grip. Absolutely. And they still are relentless, but we are relentless too. They have a worthy opponent in the Sussex squad because we show up every day, and long as they don't stop, we don't stop. We push back on the daily. The power imbalance here is staggering. Harry and Meghan, though globally recognized figures, are up against an institution steeped in tradition and influence. And I have always said that. I said the Sussex squad would be so astounded, so amazed, so blown away if we could see how deep, how wide the connections are to keep that monarchy afloat. It runs deep and wide. It said the power imbalance here is staggering. Harry and Meghan, though globally recognized, are up against an institution steeped in tradition and influence. The monarchy holds an unassailable position in British society, protected by privilege and protocol. This means they have far more resources, media sway, and public backing than Harry and Meghan could ever muster. But instead of using this power responsibly, the family has chosen to use it to tighten its hold, discredit dissenters, and silence anyone who steps out of line. This is not the mark of a stable, confident institution. It is the behavior of an organization terrified of losing control. Where is the lie? Because I'm telling you, when your abuser feels you slipping away, what do? They hold on tighter. They hold that tight grip. And that's exactly what the monarchy, the firm, has done. I love it. It says, what more? The institution use of the press to manage its image has been nothing short of manipulative. Time and time again, we have seen Meghan vilified in headlines. It says by using the press as a tool to control public perception, the monarchy is not just pretending to keep its own hands clean, but actively steering the narrative in its favor. And we all know that Camilla has done nothing but that. Camilla can be drunk on the streets of Scotland and nothing reported about it. Nothing has been said. All they said was the queen was in high spirit. We all saw her, and I put the picture up here. That's high spirit. That's somebody who's trying to keep from falling down. But if Megan absolutely sneezed the wrong way without saying tight, then it is hundreds and hundreds of articles generated. I'm just saying. The aim is clear to paint Harry and Meghan as the troublemakers while the royal family remains unsullied. But they hadn't been able to pull it off, though. They have not been able to pull it off. Why? Because of the Sussex squad pushing back, social media. And I love that for them. I'm just saying. There's also the question of accountability. The monarchy operates in many ways above public scrutiny. While politicians can be voted out, royals are protected. This makes their action even more concerning because it's far harder to hold them accountable. All you got to do is get a good article going, and all you got to do is to, like Channel 4 did, expose them. And Channel 4 has been hitting hard here lately. I don't know what's going on over there on Channel 4, but they have been coming with the good goods. When a family uses its vast power to bring rebellious members back into line, it is not just a personal issue, it becomes a matter of public concern. These actions reflect the core value of the monarchy itself. And right now, those values seem to be rooted in control, manipulation, and the fear of losing status. Where is the lie? That is what all of this is about, the fear of losing status. They have already lost the mystique Elizabeth II had. Charles and Camilla do not have. And so they have lost they really have lost status. They have. People don't look at them as anything grand anymore, especially when you put your concubine as queen. Now, if Diana was sitting on the throne right now, the mystique would be there and the love of the people would be there. But Charles could not stand that. Just like William could not stand Harry being there. Because if Harry and him was working together shoulder to shoulder, the monarchy would be in capable hands. But he is so short-sighted and so jealous of his brother that he rather to, have a kingdomship to circle the drain. And his father's is circling the drain. That is why they are in fear right now, because they are circling the drain. The best out is to abolish these people, to bring it all down. I'm just saying. All right, y'all, I'm going to put this up. And this particular squatty posted this. And I just loved it because it made me think and it was absolutely on target. And it says, by snubbing the Invictus event, Charles and William inadvertently did Harry a favor. In their absence, Harry shined brighter, becoming the focal point of the news. It's heartwarming to see Earl Spencer demonstrate to the world that Harry is still surrounded by family. And them doing that, him and what is it, Lady James Fellows, his aunt and uncle doing that, it elevated them because the world saw them show up for Harry, just like Earl Spencer said that he would at Diana's funeral, that he was always going to be there for William and Harry. Well, William is lost, and Harry needs him, and he showed up, and Diana's sister showed up. And I just love that. I did. And I am so with this squatty when he said that. And Harry, oh, he looked so good going up them steps, going up the steps of St. Paul. And when he came out, it was lined with the people. The people came out and showed Harry love. And they knew right then and there that their smear campaign had not worked. It had not worked on the British people. And I loved it. That was a great day. I'm just saying. All right, I'm going to put this up. And it says Charles had no time for Harry when his mother died. Harry was seen as a person to prop up William. Camilla, the wicked stepmother, aware of the ins and outs, focused her energy on abusing Harry and his wife because she knew both Charles and William would remain silent and complicit. Where is the lie? And it says, this particular squatter said, no child in their right mind would choose to be a spare, to exist as a whipping boy, as a distraction, as an excuse to be blamed when their heir screws up. Did you read Battle of the Brothers? Prince Harry was used and abused by the toxic family. Harry's right to protect his children. And And this was a segment in the Band of Brothers. And it says, Harry went easy on Charles in Spare. He should have talked about how just 2 weeks after Diana died, he begged his father to stay with him in London, but Charles shipped him off to boarding school and then abandoned him. He only saw him 2 times in 9 months. He saw after his mother died. After he came in there and put his hand on his knee and told Harry that his mother had died and left him in there, this little boy to process it all by himself, never taking him in his arms, never telling him that it's gonna be all right. After that, after Harry and William went through the process of walking behind their mother's coffin, Charles shipped him off, and Harry evidently begged him to stay with his dad, and he did not see that child, only saw that child twice in 9 months. That's the kind of father Charles had been. And I'm just saying, it says, and one of those was simply a photo op. And then after the picture was taken, he abandoned him again. Harry was a grieving, confused little 12-year-old boy, and Charles had no time for him at all. He wasn't allowed to leave school on the weekend. He was totally isolated and alone there. Didn't even let him come home on the weekends. This is what Charles did. That's why he reaping what he sowed. I have no kind of empathy or pity or any kind of goodwill towards that man. He is a trash father, and I have said that. It said he got no therapy, no tutoring, no family visits, and William told him to pretend like he didn't know him when Harry entered Eton, where William was already a student. That's cruel and inhumane treatment. Harry was treated worse than a dog. I said this in my last podcast. Harry was treated worse than the Queen's dogs. But anyway, yes, yes. So I love this post because it tells it like it is. It's sad. And like I said, Harry came all the way through all of that. He had to walk through all of that by himself. He had no father. He had a wicked stepmother. And he had a brother who did nothing but hate on him and try to sabotage him at every turn. Harry said they wasn't even close. William wouldn't even invite Harry to dinner to eat at his table. This is what Harry had to contend with. And they think because Harry has won, time and time again, Harry has won and overcame all of the obstacles that they placed in his way. And I just love it. I love watching it. And I'm going to put this up, and this is going to be the last one. And it says, never underestimate a cycle breaker. Not only did they face years of generational trauma, but they stood in the face of the trauma and said, this ends with me. Harry said that. Harry said that. He said when he talked to his dad about it, his dad said he had suffered, so Harry had to suffer. And Harry said that doesn't make sense. And this is why Harry has done everything he has done, because he refused to let Archie suffer. He refused to let Lily suffer. That's how I know Harry is not coming back over there. He's not doing that. And it says, but they stood in the face of the trauma and said, this ends with me. This is brave. This is powerful. This comes from a significant this comes at a significant cost. Never underestimate a cycle breaker. And that's what Harry is. Harry is a cycle breaker. He's not doing that no more. He is free. He is living his life. And they have done everything to punish him. Oh, oh, I'm telling you, I love Harry. Can y'all tell? Because I often think about that little face, this one right here, and all the stuff he has gone through to become a man. All of the obstacles. He did not have his own family on his side, but he has managed to overcome. But God has always put good people in his path, in spite of his family being so far against him and having that horrible, horrible woman as a stepmother. Harry has overcome. And now look at him. He has a beautiful house. He has a beautiful life. He has a beautiful family. And when Christmas come around, he sits on the floor and watches his children open them packages. And I know Diana is looking down and just smiling because her baby boy made it. In spite of it all, he made it. And I love it, y'all. That's the reason why I do this podcast, because I am a person who believes in right and wrong. And I cannot take a bully. And they have done nothing but try to bully Harry and Meghan. And I just won't stand for that. Not as long as I have a voice, I'm gonna use it. And I'm just saying, let's put up the clowns, y'all. Let's put up the clown. This clown right here. This clown absolutely ships his little boy, who was still 12 years old, shipped him off back to school and never allowed him to come home on the weekends. Saw him twice in 9 months. This clown right here. What a clown. And did nothing but use his little boy in order to clear the path for his whore. Yeah, I said the word because I meant that. I did it with my full chest. I meant that. He did that. This clown right here. Oh, I cannot. I cannot. And then this is his son. All he has ever wanted is to use Harry. And he is so jealous of Harry. So jealous of him. And this one right here, Harry living right across the street from him. He was right across the street in Notcott before he even met Meghan. Harry in spare said that he would watch the nanny go up and down the street and just hope and wish that William and Kate would invite him over so he could have spend some time with his nephew. At the time, it was just George, that he could go over there. Harry, they William and Harry weren't even close enough for Harry just to pop in, and he never did it. He never invited Harry over to dinner, not once. The only time he invited Harry over is when Meghan came along, and William wanted to ridicule them because they didn't buy him and Kate a Easter present, and wanted to just continue to nitpick all this nonsense that, to justify their horrible, horrible behavior towards Meghan and him. Y'all remember talking about Meghan said she had baby brain. Ooh, she had baby brain. You don't know her well enough, Meghan, to talk about her hormones. Y'all remember that in spare? And Meghan said, "What are you talking about? That is just a term." But they were just looking for something to try to justify their jealousy. This is what this one did. I'm just saying. And all I can say is, I'm going to put this one up. We are going to be on the beat every day, because as long as they mess with Harry and Meghan, we are going to be there ready to pounce on them and to eat their face off. I'm just saying. All right, y'all. Bye.